A tale of an umpire who accomplished it all, a look back at the history of the grand final, how the VFL players prepare for life after football, and a look at quite possibly the best ever local grand final in history. Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Long Story Sport, the show that takes you behind the greatness. I'm Nick Marachi and joined by Dylan Brown. Firstly, Dylan, we have a story that you produced.
Yes, I talked to former AFL umpire Martin Ellis about the experience of being an AFL umpire and hitting the pinnacle of what any umpire wants to do in that business, and that's umpire an AFL Grand Final.
Sounds intriguing to say the least. Let's take a look.
That one Saturday in September, 100,000 fans migrate here to the mighty MCG to watch their two best teams in the competition battle it out to call themselves premiers. The forgotten team in this massive game is the one wearing green, as those that are selected are the best of the best and have umpired well and consistently, week in, week out, all year, particularly during the final. So we'll start with the early days. What originally got you involved?
The early days started back in the 80s when I finished my football playing career, and a friend of mine recommended to get involved in umpiring at school, and so I gave it a go. Enjoyed the pocket money, and from then on got recruited through talent agents and started my career from there.
Kicking has been a problem for him, but it's his 30th goal for the year, 30-24. Martin Ellis back in the middle to restart. Bounce favours Burton, he has to wait for it. It's down in the direction of Callahan. Not coming out of there in a hurry. Another bounce.
You umpired Fitzroy's final match. What was the feeling like surrounding the match from your perspective?
The feeling was I remember it was over in Perth. It was a nice day, glorious day weather-wise. I just didn't know how it was going to end up. Were Fitzroy going to go out in a blaze of glory and, really going hard and tough and physical and be going to really remember for the wrong reasons, or will they go out there and do their best and just leave on that's the footy club? And thankfully it was the latter. They went out there and did their best. Unfortunately, I don't think they won, but it was a thrill to be involved with, not so much for the football club, Fitzroy Football Club, but thrilled to be a part of their next journey into the AFL, which eventually became the Brisbane Bears.
Solomon locks up Black, and we will have another bounce. 26 points. If it stays like that, it'll be the lowest winning margin since Hawthorn's 6-point win over Geelong in '89. It has felt close for much of the day.
Great to be part of any grand final, but be part of the first or inaugural grand final of a football club like the Brisbane Lions. That will go down in history, in their club history. That was their first grand final, and to be associated with that and putting on an umpiring performance for them on that day is very special. So it's not as if they've won their second or third grand final. It was actually their inaugural grand final.
So good. He had the job on Hearn. Kicks the ball to centre wing. Wellman front spot. Good mark. Rich has had a terrific day. If he kicks straight, he'll be one of the players of the match. He would certainly be in line for the Norm Smith. He's had 7 marks. 10.
Before the appointments were announced for the 2001 grand final, did you have a feeling you had it going in?
You know, there was a quiet confidence, Dylan. I umpired the preliminary final, and I knew I'd umpired very well, and there was just a quiet confidence innate in me to say that there's nothing more I can do, and I know I'm umpired really well. Do they trust, or do they want to select a young umpire to do his first grand final this week? After only umpiring 4 finals, this will be my 4th final if I did the grand final. Will they have the conviction to select me? And they did. So there was a sense of optimism, and it come to fruition, and totally enjoyed the day and the experience and the appointment. Yeah.
Did the nerves start kicking in?
Okay. Very calm right up until the national anthem. The national anthem, yeah. And the roar after the national anthem. I think, oh my gosh, we're on.
Yeah.
We are on. It's go time. And nerves, wasn't high level of nerves, but it was like, we're on. We've got to put on the show. The players, the umpires, the commentators, this is go time. And the nerves kicked in a little bit after the national anthem. Yeah, for sure.
Your final game was a win for Richmond against Melbourne at the G by 80 points.
Yes.
Walking off for the last time, were you satisfied that you had done everything in the game that you wanted to achieve?
Yes, I've achieved what any umpire would want to achieve, and that would be to umpire a grand final. I think now there's still a passion for umpiring that you'd still like to be out there in the middle, either from a playing perspective or an umpiring perspective. But the realistic facts are, the game moves on, the next generation comes through, you get older, you get slower, but you certainly miss the being out in the middle and the atmosphere and being part of a fantastic game. But did I achieve everything? Yes, I think so.
A great sit down with Martin there, and great to see umpires get recognition for their hard work.
Yeah, there wasn't a score review system back when Martin umpired, but good on him for reaching the pinnacle in his domain, umpiring in a grand final in just his 4th finals appearance.
Speaking of grand finals, I think you're going to take us back in time for some of the best grand final moments.
Yeah, it was a long week looking back at some archive footage, and with plenty to choose from, I finally found the best moments in this week in history. The last week in September. A week in history for the most thrilling moments in Australian sport. A week where champions are made and dreams are broken. Enter the MCG, host of the biggest moments on the biggest stage, Grand Final Day. It's time to flash back at the biggest moments of this week in AFL history, Grand Final Edition. St Kilda trailed all game in the 2010 Grand Final, but slowly crawled their way back with a second half fight back. At scores level at 61 apiece and 7 minutes left on the clock, Brendan Goddard created his popcorn moment.
Here is Hayes, belting forward, Goddard!
The mark couldn't have come at a more crucial moment in the game, putting St Kilda in front in what wasn't to be premiership glory. Dying stages of the 06 Grand Final, the Eagles are up by a point, but they needed one man to deliver, one man to perform the ultimate 1%er.
Got it out to O'Keefe, kick smothered, Chick, Hunter!
This 1% play was perhaps the greatest in Grand Final history, and it secured the Eagles' premiership with a 3rd premiership flag. Scores were level late in the 2009 Grand Final. St Kilda moments away from their first premiership in 43 years, Geelong's golden era hanging by a thread.
Pop it over the top, Ablett somehow has found some space. At the last minute, Zach Dawson spills it, but a clever soccer by Scarlett to Ablett from 80 metres. He drills it long to the tip of the goal square. Big flyers wanted, Varco, handball's over, it's a snap, ball Chapman, and Chapman's kicked the goal!
Once again, Geelong proving why they were the team of the modern era, producing brilliance when it counted on the biggest stage of all. Nobody gave the Hawks a chance in the 2008 Grand Final. Hawks were severe underdogs, Geelong losing just one game all season. Enter Stewie Dew. Almost the most unlikely of heroes, produces 2 goals of his own and assists in 2 goals to create one of the biggest upsets in modern Grand Final history.
Good Bunny, well done Scarlett. Still with Franklin though. Now Dew could kick this, and he has. He's had the best 5 minutes of his footy life.
The Swans were in front with seconds remaining in the 05 Grand Final. It was saved by one man, one moment, Leo Barry, the saviour.
Oh, good mark by Cox. Cox throws it onto the left. One last roll of the dice for the Eagles! Leo Barry, you star!
Leo Barry, you star indeed. Barry's courage and desperation came to the fore in the nick of time, ending the Swans' premiership drought. Be sure to join us next week in This Week in Sports History. I'm Nick Murachi, Long Story Sport. Goosebumps. Grand finals are truly where legends are made. Did you agree with my top 5, Dylan?
It's pretty good, but I still can't believe you left out one of the greatest marks of all time in Alex Jezelenko. But all the Carlton fans will be absolutely filthy at you right now, I reckon.
Well, it was a bit before my time. I'm only a young lad. Well, a man who knows more than anyone about premierships is Gary Buckenara. Georgie was lucky to sit down with Gary and Jay Lockhart from the Casey Demons to talk about how the VFL prepares players for life after footy.
State league football is a proven pathway to the AFL. Those that want it enough and want to work hard enough have as good a shot as anyone to break their way into the big leagues. It's not an easy pathway and it's not the ideal one, but it has a number of benefits.
A lot of players will take their time to develop. Generally in the AFL system, what you draft today will hopefully be getting a regular game. Those players will be getting a regular game in about 3 to 4 years' time on an AFL list, whereas the VFL provides great opportunity for those who miss out or are trying to get back into the AFL system if they've been dropped out, because it's a very good competition. You're playing against AFL listed players, and the development of them can be quite fast-tracked in terms of learning to play against men, particularly for the younger players coming out of the state league, for the TAC system. Playing against men is a big thing.
Not many footy fans pay much attention to the VFL anymore. However, it is an integral part to our game. Without the VFL, we wouldn't have players like Liam Picken and Anthony McDonald-Tipungwuti doing special things on the field each week. Jay Lockhart moved over from Tasmania to join the Casey Demons in the hope of one day earning a spot on an AFL list.
Coming over from Tassie, I just wanted that challenge of playing against AFL listed players and good VFL players. So that was just the main step up. The main objective was to play a better, higher level of footy.
While the VFL is a great pathway to get into the AFL, it is also a great pathway for players to help transition into other careers once they have been delisted or retired.
Well, we had a couple of players this year, and in particularly Jake Batchelor, who got dropped off the Richmond list in 2017, at the end of 2017. He played with us in 2018 as an assistant coach and a player, and now he's been recruited as a full-time assistant coach with St Kilda. So that provided him with a great opportunity and another pathway into football. So once his playing side of it finished, there's that coaching element that to get experience at a high level of football, then VFL clubs can offer those delisted players an opportunity either to play at the best level possible or, go into the coaching side of it.
A great insight, and good on players like Jake Batchelor, who moved instantly into a full-time coaching role.
It's underrated, the switch from footy to non-footy life. Some players struggle, but it's good to see that the VFL is making this transition as smooth as possible.
Finally, have we seen the best grand final ever at local footy? I'd love to describe it, but Riley Lockett did it for us.
Right behind me is where 26-year-old Aaron Ludwig marked, with just seconds left on the clock in the 2018 Division 1 NPNFL Grand Final. All he had to do was go back and kick any score for his team to win. In front of a record-breaking 8,000 fans, all packed into Carve Street Oval, the Pines and Sorrento football clubs locked horns for almost 2 hours to play out one of the greatest local football grand finals Australia has ever seen. With the scores level and less than 20 seconds to play, Pines worked the ball into their forward line, and after Ludwig marked, the rest was history.
And there's the full-time siren! Ludwig has the opportunity to win the game for the Pythons!
Through your process, son. Go through your process.
Aaron Ludwig walks in now. He'll kick from 40. He kicks.
With one kick, Ludwig sealed the game for the Pines and won the club their first ever grand final since 1994 by a single point. Fans stormed the field to celebrate with the players, and coach Paddy Swain was embraced by hundreds. Star forward Tim Bongetti, who took one of the marks of the year during the match, spoke to us after the game to tell us if Ludwig had missed, the Pythons may not have been able to run out the full extra time.
Mate, I was spent. I was absolutely spent. The ball was going that quick, and they play with some flair, and we know off half back they move the ball pretty well. And their foot skills are probably the best in the comp. So we had to work hard on cutting that off. And when their blokes are out and running, it's hard to stop. So, there was times in the game where you go, how good's this, that we're playing in front of a massive crowd. And on grand final day, the weather held off, and we come away with a 1-point victory, Dan.
And across the ground in the other change rooms, things weren't as great for the Sereno Football Club. Spearhead Lee Paholke spoke to us.
I've been very fortunate. I've been on the end of a 1-point win. So, to lose, to lose by a point in the kick after the siren, it happens. But, I think local footy's the winner today.
The Pines Football Club managed to defy the odds, defeating the Sereno Sharks by a point. Sorrento held a game-high lead of 32 points early in the second quarter, but nothing could stop the Pythons as they stormed home. Rising star Perry Lewis-Smith claimed the Best of Field medal with 2 goals, including an important one on the three-quarter time siren to give the Pythons the lead going into the final break. With one of the biggest supporter bases in the peninsula, coach Paddy Swain acknowledged their commitment to the cause.
Most of all, though, to our supporters who are loud and proud. What I really want to say that we're Pines and we're passionate. We're Pines and we're powerful. We're Pines and we're brilliant.
A true tale of the underdog, Pines Football Club's win will go down as one of the greatest the peninsula has ever seen.
For the crowd, as Luke said, mate, pay $15 to get through the gate, and you watch that contest, and you watch 2 of the best in the competition go head-to-head in the centre square. It's good for us to even watch on the ground. You watch 2 bulls going at it, and I guess we were just lucky that we got over the top on the end.
What a game. Imagine the scenes being there. Ridiculous. Well done, Rolly, for collecting all that footage. Local footy can be just exciting, if not more exciting, as the AFL.
Tell you what, that grand final just had it all. A kick after the siren and even a streaker.
Yeah, the umpire even pinned him for holding the ball.
Oh, what a classic. Does it get any better than that? I can just see that on footy flashbacks in 10 years' time.
For sure. One of the best local footy moments of all time, I reckon.
AFL Grand Final this week. West Coast, Collingwood. Dill, who's your tip? Who for Norm Smith and first goal?
I'm going with West Coast by 7 points and Luke Shuey for Norm Smith, and first goal will be Travis Varco.
I'm going to go the Pies by 14. Brodie Grundy, Norm Smith, and Will Hoskin-Elliott, first goal. And I believe that's all we have time for Long Story Sport. Thanks for joining us once again, and we'll join you next week. I'm Nick Marachi, joined with Dylan Brown. That's a Long Story Sport.